how do you actually, calculate these things? So the, toolbox that you're going to have of equations that will really help you out in any circumstance with displacement, velocity, and acceleration as you continue on in mechanics will be your SUVAT equations. And a SUVAT equations are basically 5 different variables in here and 4 equations that go along with it, which I'll pull out later. But these are really the only 5 variables that you will need when discussing displacement, velocity, acceleration, kinematics, and mechanics and dynamics. So the S stands for displacement, your U is your initial velocity, your V is your final velocity, A is acceleration, and T is time. U and V are the variables that are used by the International Baccalaureate. If you're in AP, these two will be different. It might be V sub I, and V sub F for velocity initial and velocity final. But either way, all it is these 5. Now, the equations that go along with them are these right here, and you'll notice that in all of them there is a different variable that is missing from the entire equation. So for example, in this one, you do not have V, your final velocity. In this one, you do not have the time. In this one, you do not have the displacement. And in this one, you do not have the acceleration. So all of these come in handy in different scenarios where you will inevitably have a lack of information, and there could be also examples where you don't have either the final velocity or the time, and you're going to have to use both of the equations. You're going to have to use multiple and then set them equal to each other. So the SUVAT equations, they're tough to get started working with because you're not going to know what exactly to use, but a great thing to always practice would be every time that you get a new word problem or an equation as such, you go back to SUVAT, and then you think to yourself, what do I have? Do I have my displacement? Do I have my initial velocity? Do I have my final velocity? Do I have my acceleration? And do I have my time? And then what I would always do is just write in the values for each of them. So you're going to know, say example, I know that my displacement is going to be 20 meters. I know that my initial velocity is this. I do not know this. I do not know this. And I know this. So it really helps you kind of conceptualize what you do and don't have access to. And then from there, you can pull out your SUVAT equations and you can see, okay, which one will help me and which one will be the easiest. Being quite honest, in my entire time in physics, this one has been the most helpful for me. And that's just because it is very flexible, and most of the time your displacement and potentially only your time and acceleration are going to be the givens, because you're going to know acceleration is going to be negative 9.81 if you're doing anything where it's discussing objects on Earth. So, that being said, that is the first steps into mechanics, and I hope that the SUVAT equations treat you well. Thank you.